All right, what's up, YouTube? It's been a while since I've done a video on Legend Bowl, and it's summertime. We're trying to get the game ported over to consoles, and there's been a bit of a, this window of time where I've been trying to figure out what to do. And, it's hard because as a developer, you make a game like this. It was a pretty long game to make. It took about 4.5 years on and off. And, it was my first game, right? My first commercial game. And there was a lot of passion put into this game and a lot of stuff that, we're going to dive into here. So let's just get started. I'm going to go ahead and just play. I might just let an exhibition game play. Or I might just go through some of the modes here and just try to talk through some things here, because the more that I look at this game, the more I think about continuing to work on Legend Bowl and being able to take the game that I had in my head, the idea that I had, and expand on it. The game's a really, really good game right now. It's getting high, good reviews, positive reviews, and people are enjoying the game. From what I can tell, there's an entire modding community that builds custom rosters like you're seeing here. So there's a lot that you can add to the game. And then on top of it, there's a lot. I mean, we added franchise mode, which is something that, I didn't really have before. It was something that I didn't know if I should do it or not. I kept going back and forth, which I tend to do, and overanalyze things and try to think, what's the best way to handle this stuff, and where's the work best, where should I target my work? Like what should I do? What are the most logical things to work on? And franchise was one of them. It's just franchise was one of those things where it could get very slippery and very deep very quickly. So what I did is I put together my own custom franchise mode. But does it have a lot in here? Yeah, it does. It has a lot of what you would see in other franchise games, sports games. But it's one of these things where when you build a game, you're basically it's like building a Lego set or building a house. And when you want to release a product like this, you really need to have something that's kind of complete. And there are people that have the mentality of, let's build an entire design document that shows every design element of the game, what features you're going to have, what types of modes, the gameplay mechanics, the artwork, what type of online capabilities it may have, if any. There's an entire depth that you can go into when it comes to designing a game, and design documents help people do that because it really scopes out the game. It lays all of the pieces out. I personally didn't do that. I don't know if it's the best approach to take. It's just something that people do, and it's kind of nice to have, but I don't do that. I prototype, I take a look at what things I think look good, and I work off of those things in a more organic way. And that's kind of how the game was built. I started out with the gameplay. I worked my way out into different modes and features, and franchise mode first started out as a season mode because I didn't want to worry about the other parts and the other elements of franchise mode, which were year-to-year stat tracking, trades, free agency, the draft, all of those things that make franchise mode difficult, that more complex. And the thing I was saying about designing a game or making a game, you're building it one brick at a time. There are things that you're trying to do one step at a time to make the final product. And that's the way I did it, right? So if you look at this newspaper here, this is an example of something that I did just to have some kind of immersion in the game. and give you a feeling that you're playing in a real league, with real players and coaches, and you can feel like when you're playing the franchise mode, you just feel like you're in a, you're in a real world. And a lot of this stuff was done as an initial cut, right? Like an initial version. Some of it was refined many times. We went through a lot of back and forth with the QA team and the fans of the game, getting feedback on Discord and on the Steam community tabs and online and YouTube and everywhere else. And, the game had revisions, obviously, it had a lot of revisions. We were in early access for a while. And it really went from this basic game, and then it took off and turned into a bigger, more complete product as we were in early access and as we were talking to the community and getting feedback. And, there were also times where they would push me to do things and get this game, over certain humps and, add certain pieces to the game. The modding part of it's a big thing too that people wanted to do. So we added that to the game as well. Excuse me. So there is some, but here's the thing. So if we go back to the main menu here, we can look, and I'll kind of get to what this video is about. I'm just kind of doing a state of the union of where the game's at, what we're doing. We are porting the game over to consoles. I am working with a publisher. They're working on getting the game ported, upgraded to the latest version of Game Maker, which is the engine we use for the game, and obviously getting it over to consoles. We have some other things that we're looking at as far as the release goes that we'll get into later. I can't really talk about that now, but there are a lot of things going on, but I'm also not really a part of many of those things. So I'm sitting here and I've thought about working on a new game. I've done some game jams, and I keep going back to, well, what if we kept working on Legend Bowl? And part of the thing with Legend Bowl is getting the support from, gamers. And until we go to console, we really don't know how well the game's going to perform based on the current trajectory that we're at with PC stores like Steam and GOG, Epic Games, Humble Bundle. The game's doing very well. And, for a PC sports game. So we also, we don't know what it's going to do on console yet, but it seems like it might do really well. And the point of it is more about, is a sequel to Legend Bowl, is working on Legend Bowl as a primary IP for the company a viable thing to do? Because, if it makes sense financially and people like the game, people support the game, there is an endless list of things that I can do to make this game great. There really is. And it's a great game right now in a lot of ways, but it's also, like any game, you can keep working on it for forever if you wanted to. And there's just a lot of things that can be done with the game. So this video is more about just talking through like what kind of things I would like to do and what things you guys may have that would be worthy of continuing to work on the game. One of the things that people love with this game, which we do as well, is the customization. I mean, the game has a lot of customization. There are things in this game that you don't see in pixel art games. I love the pixel art style to this game. I think it has a lot of charm and character, and it's just charisma. There's just a lot of it here that I love. I think it looks awesome. And that's just because I'm a guy who appreciates pixel art. And if you look through all these screens, these are really nice screens. I mean, they don't look that bad, right? So, you can look at your entire roster sheet from here. There are things like that you can do. And, it's just, there's a lot that's already in the game. And then if you want to edit a player, you can go in here, and there are so many things that you can do with the player. You can, adjust their faces. You can change their earrings to put earrings on or off, which in this case you really can't see unless you pull the air back. But you know, there's different hairstyles. So one of the things that we could do is we could definitely expand on the customization, right? There are more things we can do. We can add more hairstyles, add more faces, you know, things like that we can do to enhance the game's depth and give you more variety when it comes to building your players, right? There's also things that we could do in terms of the sprites on the field. Like we could probably add some animations. One of the issues with adding animations though is that because the game is layered, I mean, every single part of this guy's body pretty much are broken out into different pieces. So when we draw this player here or on the field, we're drawing them with the with all the pieces put together, right? So we have, you know, the torso, we have the gloves, we have the legs, the socks, the shoes, the jersey, the helmet, you know, all of those pieces are all custom. So you have to kind of, the eyes, the facial hair, the hair itself. I mean, all of those things get drawn in different layers. So whenever we make a new animation, not only do we have to make the new animation, but we have to do that animation for every single hairstyle, right? So when you draw a guy diving, you're going to have to draw all the hairstyles for that animation that exist. Plus, if you're going to add new animations, all of those new animations or those new like hairstyles, for instance, all of those hairstyles have to now get added for every single animation in the game, right? So every animation needs to get updated if you're going to add new hairstyles, new facial hair, new equipment, things like that. And then you also need to worry about if you're going to add new animations entirely, then you got to do everything from scratch, right? So animations and adding customizations to the game, to the players like this, it's a pretty big deal. It's a huge endeavor to take on. But see, what I'm trying to figure out for this game is what would I do to it to continue the series, right? If I wanted to add things, the idea would be to, and this is a mod, by the way, so this is not USFL, like the game doesn't have that. This is just a mod I'm using for show here. It does not come with the game. But the thing is, you have to come up with things that you can do in a period of time that makes sense, right? Scope it out where it makes sense. One thing I'm not sure of though is I'm in the main menu here, and I don't know if this is just a bug or the way it is. I'm going to try to jump into a game, but like the patches, they're showing up as the pink, you know, breast cancer awareness type of, you know, look that we were going for here. But that's not really, that shouldn't be showing in the main menu. So in addition to the things that I'm talking about, there are little bugs. You know, that's kind of like a bug, I guess I could say. It's not, doesn't crash the game or anything, but it is something that, you know, I wonder if I start a new season, if they go away, because it might be locking on to the week that I was in. So now if I back out of here, let's not save it. So this is just a raw video here. I just wanted to see this. Might as well talk about it while we're here because yeah, it's still showing. So I don't know why that's happening, but that's something that, you know, those little things can be improved, but that's not going to sell a game, right? So if you have things like this that you want to fix or update, you know, little things that people don't like even on the field, the cameramen, we have 2 cameramen like faces right now that we use. We can add to that. We can make them like the refs have more faces. We can do the same thing with the cameramen. You can add a lot of depth. I mean, if we take a look at the actual field here and we look at the stadiums, we have a lot of customization when it comes to this stuff because every stadium has shadows that you can look at. And so every stadium feels different and we have different field textures. We have we have colors of the field that can be different. There's a lot that we could do here. You know, like even this one here, if we take a look at, and what I probably should do is do the ball carrier or special move, yeah. Because I want to see like what this done. So this is a mod, right? This guy has done more to the game than what the game comes with. But this can all be done in Legend Bowl, you know, in a Legend Bowl sequel. We can add more to the field. And if you look at the sidelines here, you know, if I zoom out, if I can zoom out here. I won't do it. Let me see if I can I run out of bounds? Oh yeah, I can run wherever I want. So like they added the sideline stuff here. They added a that's funny that the coach is out there. You know, they added the this stuff here, which, you know, we can add this stuff to the game too. I mean, can all come into the game out of the box. You know, the security guard, things like that. That's all pretty cool stuff. Like I definitely like that. The mascots can be something that we add. This stuff all looks pretty awesome. The only problem with this is because we have custom teams, we you know, and you can kind of, well, I guess you could do it for every single team type, but yeah, that would be pretty cool actually. But see, here's the thing, like stuff like this can be added, you know, things like this that add to the, like to the charm of the game, you know, and give you more, you know, more, this is pretty cool, I have to admit. I'm just looking through it and I'm trying to see for the first time again, trying to remember what this looks like. But I would love to add stuff like this into the game, you know, graphical things to make the game look better. But those, you know, those only go so far. You can't really make a sequel or another version with just this stuff. But I definitely would look into adding more graphics to the game, right? Adding things to make the game look better, to make the game have more immersion. I would improve the gameplay, improve the UI, or the UI would need to probably be, that's another problem I have. So the UI, like if you look at this UI here, if you get a new version of Legend Bowl, right, and it becomes like Legend Bowl 2 or Super Legend Bowl or whatever we call it, the UI would probably need to be updated because people want to see a new UI. The inner gamer in me wouldn't want to waste time on UI. I would just want to add to the game, right? I would want to add more features. I would want to add better gameplay. I would want to do more with the modes. You know, I would want to try to, you know, enhance the franchise mode, maybe customize like things like add training camp in there, some kind of drills you can do, some mini game you can do, make it more of a immersive experience. You know, the gameplay is a big thing. Add laterals in the game, add play action in the game, add hot routes, improve the AI, make the play calling smarter, fix some bugs. You know, every game has bugs, and this game probably has bugs in it too. I know it does, but are they hard crashes? For the most part, they're not. So, you know, but you can only fix so many things, right? But if we just play around here and I'll do some plays while I'm talking, you know, the gameplay can be improved, right? There are things we can do here to make the gameplay better. You know, there are things like celebrations, like people want celebrations. I want them too. But that goes back to the sprite, you know, animation stuff, which is fine, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, just like when you're starting from scratch and you're building a game from scratch, you also need to realize that, you know, I almost caught that you have to figure out that there's a scope, right? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to let the computer play itself. There's a scope, right? There's obviously a list of priorities and things that you want to add in, and you have to kind of, you know, create that list so it's not too big, not too small. and you want to work with that, you know. And I'm looking at this game, and I'm really proud of this game. And this game has gotten a lot of updates for free over time. I mean, we added franchise mode without charging anyone anything extra. We bumped the price up of the game, I think $5, but that's for newcomers, people that had the game already. They're going to pay the price that they paid the original price for the game. So we've done a lot to the game. We've added a lot of patches. We've worked on it for a long time, and that's kind of where, you know, I've walked away and I said, you know, let me work on something else while we wait to see, you know, how consoles do. But I've also been sitting here saying, why would I start a brand new game from scratch when I can continue to work on a game that is not done? Now, it's a great game and it plays nicely and there are a lot of great things about it, but the game can be improved in a lot of areas, right? And there are things that we just never got to or were able to enhance. And so this video is more about like just giving you guys an update on where the game's at, what we're doing with the game. And we hope that we have something near football season this year as far as news goes for the ports to consoles, but there's nothing concrete yet. You know, we have a lot of work to do still. And but as far as like the next step, what are we doing next, right? We want to get this game working on Steam Deck as best we can. It works right now, but it's not 100% perfect yet. From what we're hearing, we don't have a Steam Deck yet, so we're waiting on that. And then beyond that, just kind of helping out with the ports, making sure they're working okay. Then there is, like I said, then there's what do we do with this game? Is it complete? Do we keep working on it? What are the next steps? And if we are going to work on a second game, I'd like to get a list of things that I'm going to do. On the Discord channel, we've had this channel on there on our Discord called LB2 Ideas. And we have a laundry list of things people want for the game. But what we would have to do is take a look at that list, think about our own list, and come up with whatever list makes sense to warrant a new version and start working on that next version. Another part of the reason why we've been kind of looking at what to do next is because I really couldn't touch the game up to almost now, like this week or next week. So I can start looking at a Legend Bowl 2 version as early as today if I wanted to, really. So for me, it's like, okay, if this is going to be the thing and we're going to continue Legend Bowl, I can see so many things I would want to do. You know, like that play is a great play. You know, if we look at that play, I don't think I have replays on, which replays are a thing we need to kind of look at before we go to consoles, because there is a little bit of a weird issue that can happen with them where the game like times out on you, or there's a memory leak or something going on there that shouldn't be happening that's happening. But so I just turn it off just to avoid that when I play, but it works. It's just sometimes it could like twitch out on you. The thing though is, what are those major things going to be? I would love to make the gameplay even better, you know, to, like I said, add in certain play types, make the defense smarter, make the offensive play calling smarter, defensive play calling smarter. I would love to have penalties in the game. We don't really have a lot of penalties. We have a few penalties in the game, but have more penalties. I mean, have just maybe field degradation, like things like that, to like add more to the gameplay, add more of an immersion to it. But that won't sell a new version, right? That's more of like an upgrade to this. But that's also part of what a new version is, right? Like, so this video is really about what do people really want as a new version of a game, and what makes sense to do from a business standpoint that we would really want to work on for this game. And I think that, you know, for me, I know that I love gameplay. gameplay is the core of the game. That's a big reason why this game has done as well as it has done, because the gameplay was the first pillar, and then we added around it. But there's still room for improvement across the board. So if we worked on the gameplay, that's great. But I'd want to also do things that are big ticket items that people would want. The play editor, where you can create your own plays. Custom playbooks for each team come to mind. So you can create your own plays and you can attach a playbook to every team. You know, every team right now, they do have run and pass ratios. So they do have some uniqueness to them, but they're not their own specific plays. Right now, every team gets the same playbook. But things like that, you know, I know people talked about, I was talking to the beta team today and they were asking about different league sizes, right? Like being able to play with 8 teams or 16 team or 32 team, you know, leagues. And that's a bit of a complicated thing to do, because then you have to worry about the schedules and you have to worry about, you know, all of your screens need to kind of incorporate that and adjust to that, and they have to become more adaptable and dynamic. It just throws a little bit of a wrench into things. So I don't know if that's going to be, and that's kind of where this thing needs to lead off or end. It's like, where do you put your time in? What do people really want? And you know, the big thing for me is like franchise mode. If I can get franchise mode to be better and I can make it deeper, you know, the only thing that's kind of a negative for me is that the game is pretty good the way it is. And once you start touching it and once you start adding to it, then you feel like you're kind of working towards another game, right? Like Madden, right? Like the franchise mode could become more and more like a ESPN 2K5 or Madden, you know, and just keep adding more things to it. And that's fine. But then now it's not a unique franchise mode the way it is now. That's just one example. I also could see a historic mode where, you know, you have challenges where when you come into the game, you know, you can pick up one of the teams and play historic events, and they're just made up events where it's like, okay, this team was down by 21 points in the fourth quarter, and your challenge is to come back, you know, and win the game. And those things are kind of cool, those scenario type challenges, and I could see myself doing that as well. So I have plenty of things to work on. The things that I'm kind of not concerned about, but the things that come up that are question marks are, you know, what things make the most sense to do, and then also, do you waste time or spend time on brand new UI, brand new menus, brand new things to make it look different? That's just all cosmetic stuff. And I know that the business answer to that is yes, you have to do that, so that when people buy the game, they feel like the game's different. There's also the piece where when you make a Legend Bowl 2 or the next version of a game, well, the first version becomes obsolete in many ways, right? Like, why buy Legend Bowl 1 when Legend Bowl 2 is out? And so that would have to kind of be one of those things where this game would be discounted and the new game would be a certain price, and the price would determine, you know, how people choose to buy which game. So that could still be okay. It's just, you know, and the timeline would probably be, for me, it'd probably be like 2 years max. I wouldn't want to work on it for more than 2 years, because that seems like a long time already. But it's kind of, it's a good place to be when it comes to thinking about what to do right now, because if I can time it where I can get something done like in a year and a half, and then spend the next, you know, 6 months porting the game over, getting it over, and do a full release on all of the systems at one time, that would be ideal, right? That would be something that I think would really, you know, do well when it comes to releasing the game and putting out a, you know, a publicity blitz and get this game out to, you know, to the world. And that's where the final thing is, all of this is great, but the key is support, right? So if we, and that's kind of why we're waiting, and I've been waiting to see what to do, because if the console releases come out and they don't do well at all, then this has all been answered for me, right? I can't support a studio if we're not getting the support we need. But I will say that based on the current sales, like I said earlier, it's there's a good likelihood that it will do well enough. But we won't know until we get there. So I'm really excited to play the game. I want to do some play testing with it. I want to start marking down things that I would work on. I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do yet, but I'm very close to pulling the trigger on working on a Legend Bowl 2. That's a great move by the QB, but he got sacked. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Come to the Discord and talk to us if you want. I'd love to have, as many people there as possible. The Discord's a great place where people come and they discuss the game and, all sorts of different topics. But leave your feedback. What things do you guys think would be the best to work on for the next version of the game? What are the most critical things that are missing? Things that you think would warrant a next version? Do you think all the UI needs to be updated? Things like that. If you guys have any ideas or feedback, we have a laundry list of them in the LB2 Ideas channel. But I wanted to kind of put this out there in a more formulated way where you guys can really understand what's going on in my brain and how I'm thinking. But I'm ready. Football season is almost here. I'm super excited about this year. I'm excited about Legend Bowl and what it can do. I think people are going to enjoy the game. I think I look at this game and I marvel at how much has been done to it. And I really, really am happy with the product. But it could be even better. So we'll talk next time in the next video. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think. And there'll be more updates soon. I'll catch you guys next time. Later.